Welcome to Letterbox Book Club. My name is Claire.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And today we're going to be talking about A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, which is the 5th book in the ACOTAR series. And we're going to approach talking about this book just a little bit differently. The past books, we've just kind of went through the entire book chronologically. The books progressively get bigger and bigger, so it's just going to take a little bit more time. And this book is a big boy. So we've just put some dot points down that we're just going to talk about as we go. It may be in chronological order, maybe not, but we're just going to get through how we feel. There's a lot of opinions, and that's how we're going to approach it today, so we hope you enjoy.
I also just wanted to add to that as well that I feel like this book has a very different vibe and feel to it than the other ones as well. So rather than, going in chronological order, especially if we did that with this, there would be a lot of inappropriate things to go through, I guess. So we're just going to go over the main points and theories and stuff. So I will start us off by reading the blurb. So, Nesta Archeron has always been prickly, proud, swift to anger, and slow to forgive. And since the war, since being made High Fae against her will, she's struggled to forget the horrors she endured and find a place for herself within the strange and deadly Night Court. The person who ignites her temper more than any other is Cassian, the battle-scarred winged warrior who is there at Nesta's every turn. But her temper isn't the only thing Cassian ignites, and when they are forced to train in battle together, sparks become flame. As the threat of war casts its shadow over them once again, Nesta and Cassian must fight monsters from within and without. They are to stand a chance of halting the enemies of their court, but the ultimate risk will be searching for acceptance and healing in each other's arms. Also, I didn't read the blurb when I first bought that, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So now that I've read it, I was like, oh, okay.
That's what it's meant to be about. Alright, because you've read the book twice now, do you think the blurb is a good overview of what happened?
Yeah.
I suppose you read the series a bit quick back to back, so you just...
Yeah, I guess as well, when I was reading Throne of Glass, because I bought them all at once, I just read, and then I read the blurb of the next one after I'd read it, because I didn't want spoilies. So then I was like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't want spoilies.
Yeah, fair enough. Alright, so we're just gonna kick off talking about it. Immediately early on in the book, there is a bit of a tone difference that we noticed. A lot more just swearing and vulgar language, and the fact that it's not in first person point of view, in which the first 4 books were, apart from Frost and Starlight, it was all kind of strictly from Feyre's point of view, even a teensy bit of Rhysand. But yeah, it was very jarring switching straight to more of a third person view where you get a bit of everybody. A lot more swearing, vulgar language. It was very off-putting, and I know I messaged you about that, and yeah, I know.
Especially in the other books when it's sort of alluded to, I know sometimes it'll be oh, so-and-so said the most colourful word she could think of, or something like that, or gave a vulgar gesture, and it's you know what it is, you don't need it to be explicitly told to you. And especially when this is meant to be, a young adult fantasy series, it makes it quite jarring, because you think young adult, I probably started reading young adult when I was 13.
But yeah, and they even, I was very surprised, because the C word is mentioned in the book. In a very sensual context, but yeah, you wouldn't think that word would popped up at all in the first 4 books.
Even in the sensual context, I don't like that word.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe this tone difference is setting up for a more gruesome aspect of the next kind of trilogy set, because the first 4 is kind of fluffy, lighthearted, whimsical fairy tale style, and then now it's getting into more darker, nitty gritty type of stuff.
Yeah, especially because when I first read this, I didn't realize that there were going to be more books. I thought maybe one more, but now that I found out that ACOTAR, Fury, and Wings and Ruin are all meant to be a trilogy, and then the novella of Sun Starlight, and then this is the beginning of another trilogy within the universe.
Yeah,
I'm oh yeah, I guess this is kind of the same feel as ACOTAR, setting up something bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
How ACOTAR set up the King of Hybern.
Early on in this book, primarily focuses on Nesta, surrounded by Nesta and Cassian. And early in the book, Nesta's it was really hard to get through, because Nesta has been set up and written to where I've interpreted her as someone that I don't really care about. And there's a lot of contention online about that, with Silver Flames, is you either really hate Nesta or she's your favourite character. There's no in between. Like there's
Yeah.
full-on arguments about it. But yeah, the first part of the book is really Nesta just kind of wallowing, and we get to see a bit more of how she feels in regards to how she's coping from losing her father, and her trauma by being dipped into the cauldron against her will. We see a lot of like flashbacks and PTSD through dreams and stuff as well. As we've said before, her self-destructive behavior in drinking and promiscuous activities, which is nothing wrong with that, but
yeah, she's just dealing with her trauma. Same, Nesta, same.
And so early in the book, Feyre establishes that there's a family intervention, and Feyre and the inner circle of the Night Court gave her a little bit of an ultimatum: either return to the mortal lands and risk dying, or be kind of semi-locked up in Windhaven and training with Cassian and that during the day, and then working in the library for the afternoon.
Yeah, well, in the House of Wind.
Oh, House of Wind, sorry, I don't know why I said Windhaven. I knew there was wind somewhere. And the only way out of the House of Wind is to traverse 10,000 stairs to the foot of Valeris. And yeah, so being disgruntled about it, Nesta ends up taking that deal. What would you think about that whole kind of interaction, the ultimate family intervention sort of scenario?
I don't want to say too much right now. I want to save like some of it till like we get through like the key points of the book. But I guess it was kind of alluding to it in Frost and Starlight when like going up the winter solstice. Sorry, I was gonna say something from Throne of Glass. I was gonna say like Yulmus. When she showed up to the winter solstice and stuff, but she only really came to get her rent money. And then I was like, okay, like something's gotta give. And then I was wondering how they were going to start off her story in this one to get it going, but
yeah,
it was really hard for me early book because I didn't like Nesta. Like I was saying, the first time I tried to read it, I couldn't get through the first few chapters because I didn't care about Nesta. I didn't want to read about it. But then also it's that thing where there's so many times that you love main characters and you fall in love with the main characters and like you see them as perfect. And I guess this was one time when a main character for me hasn't been perfect, and it's been challenging for me to try and like immerse myself into that world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was also wondering how they were going to kind of get Nesta involved because, in Akafas and early in this book, it's like she doesn't want to be involved in Night Court life. How are you going to get her to do anything? But yeah, it's a bit of a harsh ultimatum, but I suppose that's how Sarah wanted to progress with that. And along the way, we meet a couple of new characters. We meet a couple of very important characters for Nesta. We meet Emery, that's how I pronounce it.
Yep.
She is a young Illyrian woman whose wings were clipped, and she owns a shop. Nesta finds her in a shop and asks for some leathers and stuff, and that's how they kind of interact and become friends. We also meet, I instinctually say Gwen, but I know it's Gwyn.
I say Gwen as well, but
a young acolyte who works in the library that Nesta ends up working at. And both of these ladies endured a bit of trauma as well. It's the thing with this book, everybody is kind of traumatized. Not that suffering is a contest, but everyone has their story. And as the book the theme of it is the stories deserve to be heard and told. So Nesta ends up becomes friends with Emery and Gwyn, and there's a found sisterhood theme that kind of happens
found
throughout.
Family trope.
But my only issue, it's great that Nesta finds her own friends. It's fantastic. But my issue is that she has two very real blood-related sisters who are just as traumatized, and they don't really hash it out with each other. They don't discuss.
Yeah, I feel like because, we find out that Feyre is pregnant, and we'll get into that soon. But so I guess she's just focusing on that, and I don't know what Elaine's doing.
Elaine seems fine.
Elaine's just making bread.
She's she's fine. She's not fine, but she's fine.
Yeah, but then also, I guess they're at the point where they're I'm so over, trying to coddle Nesta and, trying to get her to be involved in life, that, they're just ugh, just do what you need to do. Yeah, nice to have a found family situation, because Feyre ended up refinding her family in Rhys and all that. But the fact that this whole sisterhood, whereas Nesta has two other sisters who are just as traumatized and, have lived through tragedies as well, doesn't really want to kind of recover with them or at least resolve any of their issues together. I just found that just a teensy bit annoying, but that's just me. And while Nesta is training with Cassian, because she eventually decides to do so through, what do we expect? A bargain. We love a bargain. Eventually, Emery and Gwyn decide to fight as well, and train, and they're trying to become like Valkyries. They're practicing old Legion warrior training methods and stuff, which is pretty cool. The point of Nesta training really is to just have another outlet, I think. How many bargains do you remember are made in this book?
So Rhys and Feyre, stupid bargain.
Yeah.
Cassian and Nesta had 2 bargains. One was the
Yeah.
training, and then one was an extra hour. But I don't know if that was a
Yeah.
joke or a legitimate one. There's 3. Oh no! I know where you go. I know where you're going with this, and I don't like it.
There's a big theme around 3 in these books. I don't know, I think we've spoken about this before, but it's like, you know, there's 3 brothers essentially being Rhysand, Azrael, and Cassian. There's 3 sisters. There's 3 stars in the Night Court. There's 3 like levels of like ascending the blood right, and there's
3
usually
mountains.
3 mountains, 3 bargains usually, and yeah, so now there's another 3 bargains in this book. So there's a lot around like 3s. And especially
Numerology.
the trilogies, 3 trilogies.
Huge symbolism, yeah, with the 3. But I guess 3 is such an easy number.
3
like,
dead
it's
troves.
3
3 items in the dead trove, sorry.
3 other magical artifacts that she makes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think 3 in general is just like that. It's not too much, it's not too little.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, it's pretty cool that there's a lot of it. It's
I
consistent.
don't know if we want to go that deep, because I know she does base things off other things, like the Beauty and the Beast retelling. Tamlin is like Tamlin, like a retelling. But you know, like in religion, there's a whole like trilogy of like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah, for
and
sure.
then in like Power of 3.
And so while the Valkyrie training is happening throughout the book, Nesta and Cassian's kind of personal relationship kind of is touch and go, you know.
Obviously, they're mates. Obviously, we all knew that they were mates. When did you figure out that they were mates?
Look, since Akka War, when he was just like pushed to her,
Yeah.
or even Mist and Fury when they first meet in the human village, like he just drawn to her straight away.
Yeah.
I was like,
or when
oh,
he
no.
says,
Yeah.
like he'll find her in the next life. Like the one thing he regrets is like not having enough time or something.
Yeah, no, way before that, yeah. And when he was immediately paired with her, I'm like, ah. But I was thinking, I saw some comments online, isn't like the mating bond supposed to be like a kind of a rare thing? But this is becoming like very...
Well, yes, but also if you think about it, like they're all like, well, the bad boys are like 500 years old and the women are like essentially in their 20s. So technically that's kind of rare in like the lifetime kind of span. Like,
yeah, I guess if you put it like that way, yeah. But no, yeah, them being mates, it was always going to happen, I think. But my only thing was Nesta kind of rejecting that idea so much that it wasn't kind of revealed to her sooner? Like, I'm very confused as to how either one or both, because Cassian, Cassian knew kind of, must have known immediately or something, because when did they kind of fully realize, oh, you're my mate?
I will find out for you.
Rhys knew before Feyre, but Feyre should have been able to have felt it at a similar time.
Yeah, Cassian confirms he suspected she was his mate from the moment he met her, even when she was still in human form.
Yeah, so she must have, but like, wouldn't she have like looked at him and kind of felt the same, or did she just completely reject that idea and like repressed it until she kind of actually kind of fell in love with him?
Because then also like Rhys knew that Feyre was his mate.
Yeah,
and Feyre didn't know until.
So like
surreal.
When Lucian and looked at Elaine, he knew straight away. Like when do the girls just know? Like because the boys they seem to like straight away
they know,
but like the girls they took their time.
I think maybe it's like a consent thing.
Maybe.
They have to be like open to it. They have to be willing. Yeah, because Feyre, like when they did the do in the cabin.
Yeah.
In the woods. That's when like she felt it click into place.
The whole idea of it unlocking seems a bit more different to the ladies, but that's probably because you might have to have intense feelings to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were always going to be mates. All right, who's going to be the last set of mates that we see? Who's going to be the last ones confirmed?
Yeah, well.
Throughout the book, we are setting up our villains. The villains are being set up and doing very mischievous things. We learn that one of the remaining queens called Brylin. That's how I kind of pronounce it.
Brialyn?
We learn that she is teaming up with the sorcerer Death Lord, and I'm not going to try and pronounce his name because I'm going to get it so wrong. Koshai?
I just like read it as Koshi, but I'm sure it's like Koshai or something.
Yeah, Koshai. Yeah, she's teaming up. She's allying herself with Koshi in order to try and take over Prythian again. Like, who else wants a piece of the cake?
What is so great about Prythian that everyone wants to rule it?
It's funny, in this book, truly timeline, 55 years and suddenly 3 people or 3 or 4, even more entities want to suddenly conquer it within this time period.
Yeah.
I suppose Amarantha did kind of go rogue and kind of kickstart it all, and then suddenly everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they find out that Breelyn and Koshi, I'm just going to call him Koshi, are on the hunt for these magical artifacts which is a part of a dread trove. And these powerful artifacts, if they have them, they essentially rule everything in any sort of manner. So the 3 artifacts are the harp, the mask, and the crown. The crown pretty much mind controls people against their will for you to do their bidding. The mask pretty much raises the dead, and you have like an undead army to control. And the harp
controls time.
And so throughout this book, Nesta is on the hunt for these artifacts, and she kind of gets pressured by everybody in the inner circle to start scrying again. But she's very reluctant because the last time she scried, the Cauldron saw her, and then therefore they took Elaine to the King of Hybern camp. But they were very kind of reassuring to her that like she's able to find these artifacts because like calls to like, because she was made, these objects were made, they would have some sort of arcane kind of connection to each other, so she would be able to hunt them down much easier.
Yeah, and Feyre is not allowed to hunt them down because she's pregnant and they have to be safe about things.
Super protective.
And Elaine's making bread.
And Elaine is but Elaine wanted to try scrying, or at least try.
Yeah.
She was like, let me be involved, and then that's when Nesta is like, no, I'll do it. The only thing about the build-up of Breelyn, I'm just going to bring it up now. She was brought up throughout the entire 80 chapters, essentially. And she was physically seen, I reckon, in only 2. She was gone. She went poof, like that. She was gone. Nesta destroyed her in, like, a page. Yeah. I would have liked more skirmishes.
Yeah.
I reckon there were too much fluffing around in terms of the fight, the training, and like Cassian and Nesta go on a hike. We know this. It's the infamous hike. And I swear there's like a handful of chapters where it's just describing her walking and how she's feeling. I'm like, if you cut that down a little bit, we get it. She's upset. She's feeling her grief, whatever. If we add a bit more Breelyn and like more little tussles and skirmishes, would have balanced it out a little bit. But like the King of Hybern, she was built up to be this powerful thing because she's aligned with Koshi and his OP Deathlord powers, but she's gone in a matter of a second. Frustrated me so much.
Did we go over who Breelyn is?
Yeah, I mentioned that she was the other human queen.
Oh, the other mortal queen, yeah.
Mortal queen, yeah. She after Nesta and Elaine went into the Cauldron, she went in because she thought, oh, it works, and then Nesta took a lot of the power, and then she ended up coming out as a withered old hag, essentially. Immortal hag, and she's out for revenge, but now we have a name to Koshi, who is the master of Vesa, which is nice. I was happy that that's kind of that little plot line is lingering around. She may be freed in the next couple of books, hopefully. I hope so. Yeah. All right. Well, what did you think of the Breelyn build-up? Her involvement.
I found that it was it wasn't like it was like the King of Hybern, where it's just like given so much power, and like he can like kill so many people and have all these armies and everything, and then suddenly poof, like they're taken down by one person or like one thing, like taken down so easy. And it's like, how come in 500 years that these like Illyrian warriors, or like Rhysand, who apparently has like all the power in the world and everything, and all these high lords haven't gotten together and taken out the King of Hybern, they need this little gardener to stab him in the neck.
Yeah.
Sorry. And so like after all that, like how come these people haven't been able to take them down? Or even in this one, I know why Rhys didn't, but all the other high lords can't take Breelyn down, but Nesta can.
Yeah, I think they were just scared, and they were just kind of rebuilding their courts after the Hybern infiltration. But they could have done more to help. There wasn't a lot of seeking extra help. I think they wanted to keep it on the hush hush, because if everyone found out about the Dread Trove, then everyone will be after it.
Yeah.
Because essentially, they were talking, Amren was getting in Rhys's ear about, if you have all 3 artifacts, you could be the High King and you can rule everybody. And then Rhys, I was really happy that Rhys was not entertaining that idea. I was very happy with that.
Yeah, I never liked Amren. And even in this book, she was insufferable.
Yeah, fair enough. Built up of Breelyn only to be taken away like that. If Sarah's anything, she is consistent. Then in this process, Nesta accidentally makes her own 3 magical weapons, which is essentially another dread trove. Like, how many dread troves are there? Does it have to be like like a like a group of 3 artifacts, or is it just based on power and what the entity, what it can control?
Yeah, I guess it's based on power.
Because Nesta essentially creates a death god killing sword, which is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Even though it was like accidental. I think we did see Koshi, or we heard Koshi through like the mind. I don't know if I forget if we saw him physically.
I don't think we
but
did.
He managed to get away. But yeah, hopefully that sets him up for he'll be set up for the next book, and then he'll be gone like halfway through. Just you watch.
Yeah.
Throughout the book, as Gwyn and Emery and Nesta are training, they essentially undertake Illyrian training and stuff, and they manage to kind of secure a spot in the Blood Rite, which is an Illyrian warrior thing where it's kind of a fight to the death, but if you last the week and survive, like no one can kill, like you can't be killed, like you can die. You can die in it, but it's not like the Hunger Games where you have to kill everybody.
Yeah, you don't have to kill everyone.
But yeah, it's like this it's where young Illyrian warriors, become a full-fledged, I guess, Illyrian warrior. And there are, stages, and if you meet a certain stage, you'll be given a certain title. And there are 3 stages and 3 titles, which I forget at the top of my head. But of course, surprise, surprise, there's been only 3 people to reach the top, and I'll give you a wild guess as to who they are.
They don't secure a spot, in the Blood Rite. They just say that they've trained so much that, like, they could participate in it.
They're eligible. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yes, our boys, Rhys, Azriel, and Cassian made it to top of Ramiel. And yes, and they were kind of granted the title of that, which I forget. It's pretty important.
I forget, I can't find it.
Like, it comes across as being important as part of the Illyrian culture, but like they're not respected that way because of how they were, how they grew up, which sucks. It sucks. The poor boys. Yeah, like if they had like the best / conventional Illyrian setup, like they would be worshipped like gods. But the fact that they're all like essentially bastard borns, like they don't have the respect that they've so well earned, which is sad now that I think about it. With this Blood Rite, it actually happens in the book. It happens like in the last 20% of the book, because I remember I got to a point and I messaged Kenzie and I'm like, I have this much left. You got the Blood Rite, you've got the Briellen kind of conflict, you got pregnancies, like how are you going to fit it all in?
Yeah.
Easy, knock Briella out in 2 pages. That's how you do it.
Also, once again, the curse of the last 100 pages.
Yeah, so much.
Girls, Nesta, Emery, and Gwyn get stolen in like the middle of the night, and they wake up to find that they are in the Blood Rite.
And yeah, normally they have like no weapons. It's a fend for yourself, find your own food, etc. But this Blood Rite seems to have been sabotaged, as Nesta sees like a knife in a tree, and she's like, "This is not right."
Yeah. And
so Briellen, we learn, like, has infiltrated this event, or she's moved it along in order to kind of isolate Nesta.
She put the weapons in.
Yeah, and sabotaged it by putting in the weapons, which I found annoying that we didn't see at least a little bit of a build-up of her infiltrating the Illyrian camp. It just happened that she infiltrated it. Because I was like, huh? I had to reread that page twice because Emery's cousin was in it, and like Nesta recognized like a fog glaze over his eyes and under the influence of the crown. And another thing, before I finish this little rant, Briellen just happened to have the crown. But anyway, so she sabotaged the Blood Rite, and no build up to that at all, which it just felt really, it just had to happen in order to isolate Nesta.
So in the Blood Rite at the very end, when Emery and Gwyn get to the top or whatever, and Nesta's buying them time, Briellen arrives and she has Cassian, and like he's under her thrall or whatever, and she's essentially about to make Cassian stab himself. And again, this is nothing where I had to reread it twice, because I think he like stabs himself and it hits armor or something, or in quotation, he stabs himself, or he like does the old in the armpit trick. Because, he got up again, and I was like, wait, did he stab himself or did he not stab himself? And, he didn't, because apparently the power of love.
While under her thrall, Briellen said to Cassian, kill, and that being the fairy, you're like, or the fae, like, you got to be specific with your words. She didn't specify kill Nesta. If that was the case, he should have then killed himself, or stabbed himself. I found a bit weird. But if I've learnt anything, it's that Sarah has no high stakes for her characters. We're gonna love everybody. It's just gonna be a build up. There's gonna be like 80 characters that everyone's fallen in love with, and you just can't kill them. You just can't.
Yeah. So after this, the very end of the book, we find out that Feyre, who has been pregnant, is in labour, and everyone thinks she's going to die because they find out as well that the baby has wings, like Illyrian warrior wings, well, Illyrian wings, sorry, and her body isn't built that to happen, and they can't like cut the baby out because like she'll bleed out, like, and she's already bleeding out too much anyway, and also like the baby is early, so the baby's a preemie baby. And I think we found out earlier on as well that Rhys and Feyre made a bargain.
Yeah, very.
That if one of them dies, the other dies as well. So we are like essentially being set up that they're both going to die.
But again, just to reiterate, there's no high stakes. They're not.
No high stakes. We know this isn't going to happen.
What I was going to say was, I forget, the baby was kind of conceived as Feyre was shapeshifted into kind of like an Illyrian while her and Rhys went at it.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of brushed over in the book. Why couldn't Feyre just turn back into that shapeshifted kind of back for the anatomy so that they were able to come out? Like, I knew it was risky.
Because I think it would be using too much power.
Oh yeah, and they didn't know how much it would have affected the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, like I thought she only shapeshifted just to have wings. I didn't realize she changed her entire anatomy for that to happen. And the whole idea of them bleeding out, like, they're immortals. It takes more. But also,
talk about taking like costumes to a whole new level in the bedroom.
Yeah. Like, they could bleed out, sure, but I thought, like, ash arrows is what, like, or does that just weaken them enough to kill them?
Yeah.
Okay, but they can bleed out if they don't.
If
they don't treat their wounds properly, they would still die.
Bleed out.
Could you imagine being immortal and then just like you're not taking care of yourself and then you just die, blood loss, just negligence. Goddamn, what a way to go.
At the very last moment, Nesta swoops in, like, as Feyre and as Rhys are dying. Nesta swoops in and she summons the entire dead trove, and she's pretty much just saying, like, I'll give anything, I'll do anything, like, just save them, like, help them, blah, blah. And so she essentially gives most of her power back to the deity, the mother, the goddess, the cauldron, whatever, in order to, like, stop time and save Rhys and Feyre, which she does. And she also changes her own anatomy permanently so that when her and Cassian decide to have children, that this isn't going to be a problem.
Which is pretty cool, but yeah, throughout the book we get glimpses of Nesta's power when she's overly emotional or in a dream, and I thought this whole book was going to be about her embracing that, utilizing it.
Yeah.
No, she just gives it back. Yeah. It was frustrating because she would have been so powerful because she turns the House of Wind into her friend, and the House of Wind, just gives her, like, whatever. Yeah, it became a sentient house, and it beckoned at her whim, essentially.
Yeah, through her power.
Yeah, which is cool. And, she would turn into, like, Silver Flame, which is pretty much the title of the book.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where she was having a nightmare and her power was overloading her, and then Rhys had to come in and kind of, like, use his power against hers, and he was struggling. He was losing, essentially. But yeah, like, she would have been super powerful if she was able to utilize that. But then again, like, too OP, I guess. It would be hard to describe what intricate details of power she actually has.
Yeah.
Which I saw a comment in that thread that we looked at. Isn't it funny how, like, Amryn and Nesta, arguably two the most powerful people who could take Rhys on, suddenly have, like, lost their powers or inhibited their powers?
Yeah.
Not that I'm against Rhys, but it's just funny how that works. Like, Nesta could have taken him on and she probably would have won. And same with Amryn, she probably would have won against Rhys if there was any sort of fight. Also, quickly throughout the book, we are introduced to a couple of new little creatures that they encounter along the way. We encounter, like, an entity called Lanthus, which is a creature that Cassian put in the prison, and he recalls the backstory of how he captured it and his wounds from it. While Nesta was looking for the harp, she managed to, like, unlock a door, like the magical doors of it, and Lanthus came out and she managed to kill him with the sword. which is pretty cool. I sound like a hypocrite because like I don't like Nesta, but like, oh, she did a cool thing. I suppose you can respect that. And we also see a creature called a Kelpie, which I keep thinking of like the dog breed. Anytime I heard the Kelpie, I'm like, oh, it's a sweet, sweet, soft, obedient animal. What harm could they possibly cause? But yeah, it's pretty much like a he was pretty much like a siren, like a human-bodied siren.
Yeah.
And as Nesta was trying to get the mask, he captured her and dragged her under the water and everything. And there was a little tussle, and she managed to kill him as well by using the mask, which was really surprising.
OP, baby. So now that we've sort of gone through the major like plot points, shall we talk about like theories, overall opinions?
We can do that. I do want to mention that throughout this book, Eris is a part of the action. Like, he's a bit of a recurring character in this book. Good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I reckon we're getting Eris's redemption arc.
Yeah, kind of. Essentially, Briellen hijacks his troops with the crown, and like they're doing all of her bidding and causing mischief and whatever. And Eris is trying to deal with that while also trying to undermine his father secretly. The Inner Circle also don't really want him to knowing about the Dread Trove. Throughout this book, almost every argument he has with anybody, it's like, oh, why don't you tell your side of the story with more? And like, I'm surprised why he hasn't told us yet.
Yeah, there's something more there.
Yeah, so I don't know, when is he gonna get
I'm
like,
thinking
that moment?
that maybe she like might have revealed to him like her sexuality.
Oh.
Or something, and then
I never thought of it like that.
So I'm thinking, and then he was like, well, how do I get out of this without like ruining her secret, like giving away her secret, like outing her to everyone, but also like still being like within, like the normal actions that he would take.
He just gets perceived more as the asshole.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking, I'm like, what could Eris possibly have done that, like, for him to not be seen as bad as what everyone's made it out to be? But yeah, that would be, I reckon that has to be it. That's
to
the only
save
thing.
her, a lifetime of being unhappy with him. Also revealed as well that he wasn't there when they dumped her.
I think so.
So he probably didn't know that that's what they were going to do.
But he ended up finding her at some point.
Yeah.
Because I think he said not to, like, touch her or anything, just because then it would be his problem. But yeah, because as I was just going to say before, Moore seems the type of person who would rather, be free, live with this trauma, than, say, marry Eris and just have somebody secretly on the side, kind of like that fake love.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn, that is a very good point. I have not seen anyone kind of bring that up. Damn, Kenzie, big brain.
OG big brain.
All right, fun theory time. Let's have a little bit of fun.
I would like to start. The best theory that I have read online, because this book just didn't feel the same as reading the other ones, and now that I've also read like Throne of Glass as well, like the series, like it doesn't feel the same. There's really, I hate to say it, there's really no plot going on apart from like a little bit of setup. And then it just also, like, I'm one, like, I enjoy smart, I enjoy reading smart, like, I enjoyed it in all the other books and blah, 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 but, like, it's almost too overwhelming in this book. Like, there's so much of it that, like, the plot kind of, like, gets buried in their, like, insatiable, like, need for each other. So, the best theory I've read online is that this book was written with the help of a ghost writer, because Sarah J. Maas, I think, was also writing the second book in the like Crescent City series as well. And like, I have nothing against ghost writers, but if you're going to ghost write, you need to do it well. And this, if it's true, was not done well.
You hear the term ghostwriter thrown out and you think you know what it means. So I did find the definition, and a lot of it is more so writing like speeches and stuff, like political figures, that those types of things, public speaking type of stuff.
Yeah.
For an author, it's like, if you want to ghostwrite for an author, why don't you just write your own book? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I guess Sarah is a busy lady, she's, writing, finishing ACOTAR as well as starting another series. Or at least working on multiple, and like, we got the potential TV show happening, like, she's very busy.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. It would make sense for the tone shift. and the vulgar language, I guess, as well.
I mean, unless like in the next book, which we don't know is going to have this same sort of tone as well, and it's intentional. But just as this compares to the rest of the series, it doesn't feel the same. Like, especially Rhys, I don't think would be dumb enough to make that bargain with Feyre of like, we're gonna die together. That's number one. And also, like, when he says, when Feyre, because they're all protecting Feyre against you know, like, she doesn't know that she's going to die, so Rhys is like, we can't tell her. And then Nesta's the one that ultimately tells her, like, oh, your mate has been lying to you, essentially. And like, Rhys has never been about keeping secrets. Rhys has always been like, this is what's happening, this is the plan, here are your choices. Like, I just think in the other books, like, Rhys would never keep something like that from Feyre.
Yeah.
And then especially when after Nesta tells, Feyre, and then Rhys, like, just goes, like, get her, like, the fuck out of here or something, like, before I fucking kill her or something like that. Like, just lots of swearing and lots of anger, and it's like, that's not Rhys.
Yeah. That was, like, very early on. Just before, I think, the intervention, it was like really, it was an early spat between them. Because you kind of warned me, you're like, Rhys is going to be a bit of an asshole this book. And I'm like, oh no, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
And then that happened early on, and I'm like, oh no, how bad are they going to mess him up? But it wasn't that bad. Like, there was those moments where he kind of swore at Nesta and the lying part. But essentially, he's been consistent.
Yeah, because I messaged you a few times, and I was like, I'm very angry. Like, this is not the Rhys I know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, because we didn't reveal that bargain that Rhys would die to, that they made that bargain till later on. So maybe he was just scared of, and like, maybe he was probably...
But also, like, but I also just feel like in this scenario, like, Rhys wouldn't get himself into that situation, and he wouldn't be like, well, fuck, I'm gonna die, and then just keep it from Feyre, like...
And I feel like Rhys would be organised to have, like, the protocols in place, like, have those conversations of, alright, here's what's gonna happen if I'm gonna die. Because if he...
Yeah, and then also because they know, they know about, like, all the other, like, in history about, like, the Illyrian mothers, like, not making it through, like, a lot of them not making it through childbirth or whatever. And it's like, well, even if Feyre wasn't in her shape-shifting form, like, Rhys is still, like, half or, like, a quarter Illyrian or whatever. Like, he has wings. Like, obviously there is a chance of the baby having wings genetically. So, like, why wasn't that a conversation?
Say Feyre went through with the labour and everything, she dies, would the baby still be alive, or would the baby die as well? Or would the baby just cause Feyre to die? Because would it be worse to kind of inadvertently orphan the child, considering he's found brothers who are essentially orphaned?
Yeah. And him, essentially.
And him, essentially, yeah. Like, why would they have done that? I mean, again, like, they were never going to die. It was all going to be, happy, just... even especially if Nesta had to give up her powers for it, which she never really utilized to begin with. But yeah, Ghost Rider, yay or nay, I'm not sure. Like, I'm sure it may have helped out a little bit, but it probably could explain a little bit of inconsistencies, but...
just characterization, I think.
There's another fun theory out and about on the internet, in regards to Gwyn. We learned that she is, like, half water nymph and half, fae. Her mother was in the Spring Court, and she, seduced a autumn court occupant, and so there's a lot of theories that Gwyn could potentially be Lucian's daughter. Lucian's daughter.
I say Lucien.
Thoughts? It makes sense.
It makes sense. I want to say yes, but I feel like there's so much more that can happen in these next books that it's like, well, that's kind of like a pretty intense storyline when there's already going to be the storyline of what the hell is happening between Elaine and Lucien as well. So I don't know.
It's I reckon it's a fun theory because the timeline kind of matches up. And I forgot to add this, but it happened during the Great Riot, which is pretty much what happens in the Spring Court back in the first book. Once Tamlin does the deed under that mountain pass thing, everybody is free to do the deed with anybody they want. So it is kind of skepticized that Lucien hooked up with a water nymph.
Yeah.
Fae would know. I feel like the Fae would know just through the magic.
Would know, yeah.
And magic, magic and sense alone are super heightened. Like, he would know, but
and also because there's a storyline of him and Elaine, and then there's a story of like, well, is he going to find out that Hellion is his father?
Yeah.
So it's like, unless we're getting like a Lucien book and like a big chunky book going through all this stuff, like I just don't see that as being.
I don't think this would be. I don't think it would be a serious plotline. Like, it'd be fun.
Yeah, unless new theory.
Okay.
What if, sorry, she like ends up being like Lucian's like half sister or something?
Okay. Like very, very young half sister because she's only like 20 something.
Yeah.
Damn, what a huge age gap between siblings.
Or his niece, because it might be like one of his brothers or something. Because
Yeah,
he's the seventh.
Yeah, because
so...
I was thinking like if Rhys got permission from Amarantha to kind of attend this, who knows? It could be a brother. Eris could have probably gone down, had a bit of fun. We don't know. Just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily happen. You know what? New theory. I think it's Eris's. I think Gwyn is Eris's.
Nice.
Any other like fun theories, or is that just pretty much it? I think that was pretty much it.
That was I think.
Yeah. I keep saying online that Gwyn could potentially be Tamlin's daughter, but I don't understand the correlation. I know you accidentally sent me that.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I've legitimately seen somebody say that, and I'm like, I don't understand that connection because she has red hair or bronze hair. But Gwyn, very interesting. I like her as a character.
So I've just seen a thing. So in chapter 29, Gwyn says that her mother participated in the Great Rite with a male stranger. Her mother never found out who the father was, but says that the magic chose him that night. Tamlin has been ruling Spring Court for at least 50 years, so if it was a High Lord, it was him.
I'm pretty sure she's specifically from Autumn Court, and the only person we know who was occupying Spring Court from Autumn at that point was Lucian.
Sounds like I think it's between Lucian and Tamlin. The references to both the Spring Court and the Autumn Court are quite obvious. The plot line fits Tamlin well.
There's there's going to be another like little shipping war because there's Asriel and Elaine, and we found that Gwyn seems to take a bit of a liking to Asriel. And all right, I keep seeing as well a bonus chapter between Rhys and Asriel.
I've read.
Is it something that's online, or is it a part of the book that I've just missed?
It's online.
Oh, okay, because I have not read the bonus chapter. I don't have to feel bad to not have read it.
Would you like to know what happens?
Yeah, Kenzie, enlighten us of what happens.
So essentially, Asriel and Elaine explore their chemistry. I think they kiss, or I think they're about to kiss, and like Rhys catches them. And then like this is another thing about like why I don't like Rhys in this, because like Rhys like potentially just goes off on him, and it's like you have to stay away from her. Like what the fuck are you doing? Blah 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 blah. That is Lucian's mate. If she like rejects the bond, like he is in his right, like he can kill you. So yeah, it's basically just like exploring Asriel and Elaine.
And Rhys is against it for obvious reasons. Was there a thing about Gwyn in that, or because I keep reading that Asriel gave Gwyn a necklace and I must have missed it.
Yeah, so it was meant for Elaine because it was after, must have been solstice when they give presents. And he was giving Elaine a necklace or whatever, and then I think like she gives it back or something, or he takes it back, and then he like goes to train, and then then Gwyn's like, oh, like sees him, it's like a bit late for training, and then he gives her the necklace.
What pairing would you rather?
I would rather Elaine, I think, just to stick with the like 3 and 3 thing.
Yeah.
But I think Gwyn also deserves a bit of.
Yeah.
But I think like also like that might be like discovering who her father is. There's another theory, sorry. Gwyn is Tamlin / Eris / Lucian's daughter.
All 3 of them.
All 3.
All 3, why not?
Awesome.
I'm changing my theory. I hope, just to throw a spanner in the works, she's Eris's daughter. Why not? Why not? Final like thoughts and opinions? Any other sort of grievances or anything?
Oops. I don't want to have to wait until 2023 for the next book.
Oh, is that when it's ETA?
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed it at the end because I think, we got to explore a lot of Nesta's trauma, especially at the lake when she was just like, I need to fix myself and blah, blah, blah. But Cassian's like, there's nothing really to fix, like, you're not broken. I like that. I just didn't like the fact that I feel like, the plot was a bit lost in all the sex. I just left with more questions than answers. But again, seeing it from the point of, oh, well, it's the start of the next trilogy, like, that makes sense.
Where do you think they'll go from here? Because we know Koshi is still at large. Yeah,
so I also don't think it's confirmed, but I think the next one is meant to be like an Asriel, like Elaine book.
Okay, what do you think? What sort of evil do you think they're gonna encounter? Maybe that could be where Elaine rejects the bond and Lucian and her have a spat.
Yeah, they figure out how to save Vassa as well.
Yes.
And then maybe they'll make Nesta pregnant.
Yeah, maybe. She'll adjust herself as well somehow.
I don't know if I want like a time jump, but maybe like a couple years. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, they've been through some stuff.
Yeah, it's been a span of 5 years. I wouldn't mind like a 10 year. Not 10 year, maybe 10 year.
Like 5.
But like, what's the hurry? Like they've had like the High Fae have lived 500 odd years, and yet there are so many issues that could have been solved within
Coming up
500
right
years,
now.
and they're coming up right now at this specific time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting. I reckon the pacing and everything was a bit off because there was a lot of like just the training and a lot of like Nesta by
I feel
herself.
like we didn't need to see so much training.
And not a lot of action, although the Kelpie kind of scenes, it was probably the most action there was in terms of like fighting and battle. I would have liked more skirmishes with Breland just to kind of build her up that bit more, because like the King of Hybern, there was a few skirmishes and like, we thought, wow, they were actually not going to be able to defeat him. But and like Breland had the alliance of Koshi, like he was super powerful and he did bugger all. He just winnowed in their troops.
I would also, like to see, because obviously Tamlin's story is not over, so I would like to see his...
Yeah, but it was nice seeing it's going to be interesting where he goes, because in the book there is a cheeky mention of Tamlin where Nesta, Cassian, and Eris are talking in his forest in the Spring Court, and Tamlin finds him. But they've been saying that Tamlin has just been in his beast form for a long time. So will he ever be able to even turn back?
Maybe the love from his daughter.
Maybe we'll try and save him. I reckon something must happen that's so important for them to rally like the High Lords again, because as much as I hated a couple of the High Lords, it was nice seeing them all together in their talking politically and diplomatically. Like I would like to see a bit more of that again, or even a bit more, because we've been talking about Baron and the Autumn Court since book 1. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of the Winter Court, or even Dawn Court, more Helion as well. Give Helion an orgy, goddammit.
Give the man what he needs and what he wants.
Yeah, I enjoyed the book in the end when it got to all the actiony stuff. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Nesta's doing great. We love her. Poor Gwyn and Emery, but they're able to kind of resolve themselves and become the Valkyries that they, got excited about. But it was really hard getting into it because I still kind of don't like Nesta. I just still don't like her. I'll kind of forever be kind of like a Nesta hater, only because of how she was written between the first 4 books. But I did see a point like, oh, we only saw her from Feyre's point of view. It was enough for me to not like her. But giving up her powers without even having a chance to utilize them. But understandable, like, she's gone through so much. I probably wouldn't want to keep that reminder either. She could have been so powerful. Well, she was powerful in destroying Breland, but it would be very useful against the other Death Lord in Koshi.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see much of that. But that means Elaine still has her powers. Maybe, in the next trilogy, in the next book, she might have a more of an important role in her seer abilities.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because they kind of nudged her off to the side as well. She kind of helped a little bit in the Akka War. Like, it would have been nice for her to scry or see something. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's her coping mechanism. Maybe that's her self-destruction. She's gardening a little too much. Poor girl. Oh, I remember I saw one little inconsistency that kind of bugged me. When Nesta was first talking to Gwyn mentions that Nesta killed the King of Hybern with the Shadow Singer's knife, and I was like, no.
Oh, Elaine.
Elaine killed him with the knife. She beheaded him with Cassian's sword, I think, or a sword.
Well, I think it's meant to be like, Elaine like incapacitated him, and then...
but like Nesta did not kill him with the knife.
Ezra, why was I saying Ezra? And then Nesta had the like
#Ghost Rider.
Yeah. There's also an inconsistency as well, because I think at the end of like Frost and Starlight, he says Cassian says you're coming with me to like the Illyrian camp.
Oh, okay.
But then in this one at the start, he just says like you're coming with me, like to the House of Wind.
Oh, okay. Yep. All in all, Nesta braved through her trauma. She not recovered fully. I suppose you can never fully recover, but she's in a better place. She's with Cassian. She looks to have a future with him, which is nice.
I guess they're getting married.
Must be there. Oh, that'd be cute seeing their
seeing a wedding.
Their mates like ceremony or something like that as well. In the next book.
Because we never got to see like the Feysand wedding really.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a wedding that actually goes through.
Yeah. And unfortunately, throughout the book as well, Asriel, his role got held back because, you know, he being the spy master, they told him to kind of hang back when she had the crown because they didn't want Asriel to be caught and then used against them. Yeah, I guess like the others, it didn't leave like an obvious room for what's going to happen next. It was kind of the Dread Trove. They found all the items. She died. That's it. Koshi is at large. But yeah, otherwise I enjoyed it. Can't wait for the next one. Watch us reread it in like 2022, late 2022.
Oh yeah, of course.
Have a
I'm not
reread.
going to touch them again until 2022.
Yeah, you're just going to buy all the collector editions until then.
Yeah.
Pretty much covered what we needed to cover. Thank you all for listening. Hopefully you share similar ideas and similar opinions.
And make sure you follow the Letterboxd Book Club Instagram on your way out.
Yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, if you have any similar ideas or opinions, feel free to comment. I'm sure there might be like a post thread where we can discuss. Or we might find other avenues of social media to utilize for this type of thing. We shall see in the future.
So we're going to be taking a bit of a break at the moment because we are on Throne of Glass. So I'm on a rereading. Claire is reading Throne of Glass, so we're going to give her time to get through them. So we might take a break. I think we were talking about doing Midnight Sun, but I feel like that's a big boy book. So I think we're going to break it up with a quick little breather of Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us.
Yeah, for sure. So join us next time for It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover.
Yeah.
And catch you on the flip side. Thanks for listening.
See ya, everyone.
Bye.